Hello everybody, today we'll talk about English etiquette. The British people are said to be reserved in their manners, dress, and speech. They give the people the impression that they are polite and they pay a lot of attention to etiquette. First, we'll look at the greeting etiquette. And handshake is a common way for British people to greet each other. There are some occasions they should shake hands. And first, when they are introduced to others, and when they say goodbye to others. And second, if a boss meets clients, on this occasion, it is usually the boss put his hand first, and then next, when the visitor comes in the room. Under this circumstance, that is usually the host will put forward his hand. And the last, when they attend the receptions and parties. And after the parties, when you want to take leave, you should shake hands with the host or the hostess. Okay, next we'll look at another greeting gesture, that is kissing. In Western culture, kissing is considered to be, showing love or respect to others. And there are two body parts you can kiss. First, that is kissing cheeks. It is usually common among close friends and relatives. When you want to kiss people with the opposite sex, so do remember, that means you haven't seen the person for a long time. And kissing among men usually happens, on some special occasions, such as festivals or wedding, ceremonies. And the second is kissing hands. Kissing hands is one common ritual among people on upper class, especially down to married women. Only priests and emperors can kiss the hands of noble women, and the woman should bend the hand a little to show her willingness to accept it. Otherwise, it will be awkward. Next we'll look at another etiquette, that is when you want to visit somebody, such as British family. First, there are some points we should pay attention to. First, that is, you should make a telephone call before you visit a British family. British people usually, don't come to people's home if they are without making any agreed date or time. And second one, if you receive an invitation letter that has RSVP on it. RSVP, that stands for reply, if you please. So that means the person wants to know if you will come to the home or not. So you should respond as soon as possible. And the third one, if you can't come to somebody's home, if you receive it, you should tell the host in advance and apologize. And the last, we'll look at the arrival time. And the time, it is better for you to arrive 10 minutes after the arranged time. So maybe in China, you will think it's pride to come early. But to remember, in British etiquette, do not come too early, such as 30 minutes earlier. Why? Because maybe the host or the hostess isn't ready for the meal, and that will make them awkward. But also, you should not arrive too late, such as 30 minutes late. And if you arrive too late, you should apologize. Next, when you come to somebody's home, you can bring some small gifts. For different kinds of people, such as they have different kinds of age, you can prepare different gifts. For young people, you can prepare some bottles of beer. In Britain, there are many kinds of brands of beer. If you want to give your friend some beer, you can say by saying the sentence by this. I will bring some beer over. Which brand do you prefer? And if the host doesn't care, you can bring whatever you like. For middle-aged person, you can give some wine, such as red wine, white wine, pink wine, blue wine, appetizer wine. And these wines maybe are made by different kinds of grapes and making process. And if you don't know which one to bring, and you can just bring a bottle of champagne. And for old people, you can bring Shirley box chocolate. Shirley box, what does it mean? Shirley box, that means each chocolate is wrapped individually. And for the hostess, you can give them a bunch of flowers, such as white lilies. Like Chinese people, British people pay a lot to sitting order. First, the host will arrange the guest of the owner, and the seat should next to the wall, and the host can sit to the left of the guest of honor, and hostess can sit opposite to the host, and other guests can sit randomly. And next, we'll look at the serving etiquette. So that means the dish, the food should be served on the diner's left. And if somebody wants to remove the food, that should be removed on the diner's right. Napkin, look at this one. Napkin is very important in British dinner. And when you are seated, you should remove the napkin from the table. And then you can fold the napkin in half. And the shape can be square, so triangle or rectangular. And look at this picture. There are some taboos for you to use the napkin. And you can use the napkin to clean your mouth if it is dirty, instead of your own handkerchief. Do not fold the napkin around your neck. You can put the napkin on your lap. The opening side should be outside, in case that if your mouth is dirty, it is convenient for you to clean your mouth. If you want to leave for a little while, you can put the napkin on the chair or armchair. And if you finish your dinner, you can fold the napkin and put it on the table. Next, we'll look at the utensils for the British people. They often use, as we all know, they often use knives and forks. The number of the knives and forks should be in accordance with the number of the dishes. And if you don't know which utensil to use first, you can follow the rule that is called outside in rule. So that means you can use the knife on the outside part, and then you can use the utensils inward. So which hand use the knife and which hand use the fork? Let's look at these two pictures. British way is usually called continental style. So that means you use your right hand to hold the knife and your left hand to hold the fork. And usually they use the knife to cut the food and use the fork to stick the food into your mouth. And so almost all the dishes the British people will use a knife and forks, except corns, crisps, and sandwiches. Different ways of placing knife and fork indicated different kinds of meaning. So look at this picture. If the knife and the fork is placed horizontal to the diner, so that means the dish is excellent. And if they are placed upright, that means so the diner finished the dish. So look at this way. If they are placed close to each other and in 60 degrees, that means the diner doesn't like the dish. And this kind of way, that means the diner is ready for second plate. And look at the last one, and the fork and the knife are placed to 60 degrees. but they are not crossed. That means the dinner need to have a rest. Okay, next we'll look at the English afternoon tea etiquette. English afternoon tea is also called the traditional 4 o'clock tea. It is a small meal, not a drink. It consists of tea with some snack foods. And there are two kinds of tea we should distinguish. First, it is called high tea. It's a full meal in the evening. And this kind of tea is usually drank by working people after whole days of hard working. So during high tea, they usually eat meat or some high protein food. And the second one is called low tea. It is a small meal and usually happens in the afternoon among people in upper class. So usually we call English afternoon tea is some kind of low tea. And next we'll look at the snack food. The snack food is usually placed on the three layers of porcelain plates. The first layer is placed sandwich. The second layer, some cakes like called pasture scone. And the top layer is placed cakes and fruits. About the eating sequence, they usually eat from the bottom to the top. It is accordance with the British way of eating, so that means dessert the last. Okay, next we'll look at the Victorian afternoon tea etiquette. The hostess must use the best room and the best porcelain to treat the guest. And the second one, the leading roles of afternoon tea are Darjeeling tea or Earl Grey tea, which are made in India. About the dressing, the gentlemen usually dressed a tuxedo, and the ladies usually dress a gown. And at last, we'll look at the British wedding ceremony. And the British wedding ceremony usually happens on Saturday afternoon. The reason is that the sky is clearer. And about the place, the traditional British wedding ceremony usually happens in the church. But nowadays, many British young people also choose hotel or a castle to hold a wedding. And about the clothes, and the bride usually wears white wedding gown or white gauze, and on her hand, she usually holds a bunch of white bouquets. About the groom, and he usually wears morning suit, which includes a tuxedo, waistcoat, and long trousers. For the traditional church wedding ceremony, it is usually the bride's father holds the arm of the bride to go to the altar and then give the hands to the groom. And after that, before the priest, the young couple will exchange vows to love each other forever. And next, we'll look at another custom, that is exchange rings. And there are two kinds of rings. The golden ring, which represents the purity of love, and the silver ring, which represents tender affection. Exchanging rings is so important during English wedding ceremony. People consider maybe the wedding is ineffective if the young couple hasn't exchanged rings. During the wedding dinner, there should be a wedding cake. And the cake should have a large number of fruit, a broken almond on the surface. And one thing we should notice that is the top layer of the cake is called christening cake. It is said that the top layer of the cake should be retained until the birth of the first child of the young couple. Okay, so let's draw a conclusion here. The Great Britain pays a lot to courtesy. From the way of their greeting, eating, and wedding ceremony, we can clearly see that British people think highly of the value of being polite and well-behaved. Okay, so that's all for today. And goodbye, everyone.